The room erupted in applause before I even had a chance to process what I'd just heard. My older brother Daniel had just announced with a wide, self-satisfied grin that he was taking all 8 of our family's rental houses. 8 properties that had been our parents' pride and a source of steady income for decades. And the shocking part, the room our relatives, the lawyer, even a few family friends, cheered. They treated it like a celebration, as if Daniel had just scored a goal that would secure our family's future. I sat frozen, my hands gripping the handle of the suitcase I had brought with me. Inside it were pieces of a truth I had carried alone for years, a truth no one suspected even existed. Everyone's attention was on Daniel, basking in the praise he didn't truly deserve, while I felt a storm building inside me, a storm that only I could unleash. The inheritance meeting had been tense from the start. Our parents had passed unexpectedly in the past year, leaving behind more than just memories. They had left behind a legacy, and with it, the inevitable conflicts. Daniel, the eldest, had always been the golden child, charming, persuasive, and seemingly responsible. I, on the other hand, had always been quiet, overlooked, the shadow in the background. But the suitcase I held wasn't a shadow. It was proof of years of sacrifice, years of hidden toil that no one had acknowledged. As Daniel recounted in dramatic detail his plan to manage all the rental houses, the lawyer nodded solemnly, scribbling notes, oblivious to the undercurrent of tension I felt. Cousins murmured approval, aunts and uncles smiled, and the excitement in the room was almost tangible. I wanted to scream, to stop this celebration of what felt like theft. But instead I drew in a deep breath, feeling the weight of my suitcase like an anchor holding me back from making a mistake I could never undo. The truth came out slowly, carefully, almost ceremoniously. I set the suitcase down and unzipped it, letting the room notice it for the first time. Papers spilled out, old receipts, maintenance logs, letters from tenants, photographs of me, secretly fixing leaky roofs, patching broken pipes, even covering the mortgage payments for months when Daniel had promised he would. Each piece of evidence was a chapter of my invisible labor, a story no one had ever asked about. The room went silent. Confusion replaced the cheers. Daniel's confident smirk faltered as I began to speak. "You've all cheered for my brother, thinking he's earned everything," I said, my voice steady despite the tremor I felt inside. "But these houses, they've been kept afloat because of my work. Because I took responsibility when things got hard. Because I loved this family enough to do the work no one else wanted to see." At first, there was disbelief. A few relatives exchanged awkward glances, unsure how to react. But slowly, recognition began to flicker in some eyes. They remembered times when Daniel conveniently forgot to fix things, or when I was the one quietly covering for mistakes, always in the background. Daniel's face turned red, a mixture of anger and embarrassment. He tried to argue, tried to make it seem like my work didn't matter in the grand scheme of inheritance, that I was overreacting. But the documents told a story no words could dismiss. The lawyer, usually impartial and mechanical, finally looked up and said, "It seems there's a serious oversight here. The work done by the claimant." He paused, gesturing toward me, "must be recognized in the distribution." The next few moments were tense, almost unbearable. Daniel fumed in silence, pacing back and forth. I realized then that this wasn't just about the houses. It was about respect, fairness, and finally being seen. And as the room waited for a resolution, I felt a quiet strength inside me, a calm that came from years of holding my truth close. In the end, a compromise was reached. The houses wouldn't be handed entirely to Daniel. Instead, I would receive ownership of 4, reflecting both my labor and dedication. Daniel would manage the remaining 4, but under strict oversight, with my name legally tied to decisions that affected tenants and maintenance. The room exhaled collectively, some still shocked, others nodding slowly, as if a moral balance had finally been restored. I left the meeting that day not with vengeance but with vindication. The weight of the suitcase had lifted, replaced by a sense of self-worth I had never allowed myself to feel. I realized that inheritance wasn't just about property. It was about the recognition of love, effort, and the courage to stand up when the world overlooked you. Months later, as I walked through one of my new properties, meeting tenants who had once trusted me quietly, while Daniel took the credit, I felt a deep sense of purpose. I had learned that integrity and perseverance matter more than applause or fleeting approval. And sometimes, the truth we carry silently in a suitcase is enough to change everything, if we finally dare to set it free. The lesson lingered in my mind. Legacy isn't measured in the size of what's inherited. It's measured in the work we do, the love we give, and the courage we summon to claim what is rightly ours.